Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe and that is Stephen Howson, and today we're going to be talking about Ruben Amorim, his style, his tactics. We've been talking about this for 3 or 4 months now, but there is this continued and growing group of fans and pundits and fellow professionals that think he has to change what he's doing. So we're going to be talking about his tactics, whether he needs to change them, why the players can't get it or won't get it in terms of understanding it and being able to play it, and kind of what we should do and the expectations for the tactics this season. So let's start with that first question. Do you think Ruben Amorim should change his tactics and his style to suit the current players in the squad more?
I don't think it's a black or white answer, actually. Largely lean towards no. But there's a massive caveat with it.
Go on.
For a few reasons. The first reason being, you don't hire a guy because you like the style of football that he plays, that he believes in, and then give him one prospect of a player and then go, well, this obviously hasn't worked, let's bin him or make him change and play another way. You hire him for the principles that you like in what he does. However, football changes. Sir Alex Ferguson's philosophy over obviously a far greater time period evolved. The way he would have set up St Mirren was not the way that Manchester United played in 2013. The way Manchester United played in 1993 was not the same as the way Manchester United played in 2008.
Yeah.
Like, he evolved, football evolved, and at times you have to adapt to the players that you've got and the surroundings that you've got and this, that and the other. You don't lose your core principles. I don't think a formation is a philosophy. I think the way... There's basically 5 areas of football. One's being set plays, so let's just move that out of the way because we'd shit at them. So let's just forget about that for starters. The other 4 areas of football is where football's played. That's what you do with the ball, what you do without the ball, what you do transitioning from having it to not having it, and what you do from transitioning to having it to not having it. That's where the game's played.
From not having it to having it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. From in possession to out possession, from out possession to in possession, and then having it and not having it. That's football.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? That isn't a formation.
Yeah.
And for me, it shouldn't be a formation. Pep Guardiola would have one of the most defined styles of play that anyone has ever had in the history of football. He doesn't play that anymore. He has evolved. He has adapted to when he got to the Premier League. When he got to the Premier League, he was losing his mind about second balls because Manchester City did not win second balls under him at first. He has evolved and adapted, and his Manchester City side at the moment are a lot larger physically than the first team that he tried to build at Manchester City, but also that Barcelona team that he was so good with, because of the demands of English football required it to do that. He also adapted to that weird sort of John Stones half-back kind of position where he added extra players in certain areas. And also football has evolved and changed. And we're seeing the teams having a hell of a lot of success in the Premier League this season by being almost throwback, direct 1980s Brian Clough style football. So on one hand, I go, and my major thing about it is you hire a guy, take it to the nth degree with him. See what he's able to produce with the players that he wants to produce it with. Because I tell you what, we know these players are not good enough. If I had £1 for every single time me and you had sat here and said them forwards aren't good enough, I'll buy us a fucking forward ourselves. Right? Yeah. So we've moved past that because we already know.
Yeah.
So what do you expect us to do with forwards that can't score? You're never going to see anyone's philosophy is good or not, because the people that are being tasked with implementing it aren't good enough. But by the same rule, should he be doing better than what we're seeing? Yes. You're seeing David Moyes going into an Everton team that was coached by Sean Dyche and getting a better tune out of them than what Sean Dyche was getting. Is that because David Moyes maybe suited Dyche-built team more than Amorim suits a Ten Hag and Footwit-built team that Manchester United has? Probably. And there's probably a reason why he didn't want to come until the end of the season. But there has to be a level of pragmatism in his games. you can't just be an idealist. You can't just be a philosopher. You actually have to win football matches, because this record will follow you around. He can win the next 8 games on the bounce. His record's still 50-50. Actually, it'll be less than 50-50 because we've drawn some games. So his win rate, even if we win the next 8 consecutive games, I think this is right, is still going to be less than 50% wins.
That's not a good spot to be in, is it?
So even if we do go on that run, and guess what? We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
His record will be constantly brought up. Oh, his win rate was X. His win rate was X. His win rate is like 20% of what David Moyes' was when he was here. That's going to follow you around. And you can't get into the end of the season by losing every single game from now till May and going, right, clean slate, we'll start again. Now, I know Nottingham Forest have seemingly done something along those lines and find themselves in a push for top 4. But I feel like they're more of a speedboat than the oil tanker that Manchester United are, and I feel like they're a lot easier to change the course of and less restricted by some of the factors that United have got.
Yeah, and also they're playing a style of play where they've got one of the lowest possessions in the league. You know, they can play and do things that people won't accept from Man United long term. You know, we saw under Solskjaer that you can have some success playing a bit more counter-attacking style, getting the players a bit more confident and just boosting the morale. Like Moyes hasn't come in and, you know, turned the tables upside down tactically, but he's got them happy. He's got the players enjoying playing. And he said the other day about...
They're going to muller us at weekend, you know?
Yeah, they are. Because he was asked a question about, you know, do you sort of need to come back down to earth or keep expectations down a bit, not get carried away? And he's like, these players have been told to not get carried away so much. They've been down to earth for a long time. Maybe we should get carried away, kind of, was the point he's making. But we're nowhere near that. The idea of that, you know, us being carried away or having this momentum, this excitement, this giddiness, it never happened under Amorim yet. Do you worry that these players, who obviously the attackers you said aren't there, and just a couple of stats on that for anyone who still doubts it, United have scored 21 goals, I believe, in the league this season. Our XG is 32, which means we've underperformed by 50%, like, on what we should have scored. And also, we've created 49 big chances in the league this season and missed 43 of them. Like, as you said at the start of the season, you've repeated so many times on here, our attackers don't score and aren't, you know, are below average at scoring. But do you worry that, regardless of all that and the hands that he's been dealt, the players might turn on him or just lack the ability to, you know, ever be able to buy in if the results are that bad between now and the end of the season? They might just go, you know what, I know we're not that great, but fuck this. Do you worry that could happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's possible to get data on people mentally checking out. I don't know if that's even a thing. But intuitively feels like if you go so far down, and it's like, is there any history of a manager being given loads of time and it going horrendously wrong and turning it around? Now, I know people will be like, well, Klopp finished 8th twice, I think. Arteta finished 8th twice, I think. And they've managed to turn it around and have a mediocre level of success for Liverpool with a COVID title and rule changes, and no success essentially for Arsenal after Emery's squad won the FA Cup. But they did seemingly turn it around. Did they turn it around because of they got them players playing? Or, and I know this to be the case with both of those, you look at the 11s from their first game to when they started hitting top gear, is it just a completely different 11?
Different. Yeah.
So I don't know if it's possible if you ever lost a player mentally.
Yeah.
Let's just use Bruno as an example of someone that's probably going to play and probably will be here for a couple more years, you would assume.
Yeah.
If Bruno can't accept the message that's being said by Ruben Amorim, or is incapable of saying it, or just checks out when he starts talking, because that happens. You just go, I think this guy's useless. Has there ever been an instance where that comes back?
Yeah. And how many times do they get even given the chance to turn it around?
I don't think modern football managers get the chance anymore.
And that's a big problem, isn't it? And this is the mad thing. We're already talking about turning it around. Like, at least when it comes to United's previous managers with, you know, Ten Hag and Solskjaer, well, all of them except David Moyes, they at least all of them had one season where you went, I can see what they're doing here. That was good. That was not a league title, not challenging, but I get it. Finishing second under Solskjaer, even when we finished third under him, I thought, I get that works. Another season. Jose, same thing, finishing second. I get this. We haven't even had that spell yet. There's been the Liverpool game, the Arsenal game, elements of the City game. That's kind of it in terms of trying to grasp onto, remember what we can do. That is my worry, that we'll never even get to the point of throwing back to what used to be all right. It's just been awful from the start. It's almost been more Rangnick than anything else.
Yes.
Do you think that's his fault? Do you think it's the owner's fault? Do you think it's the fact that he just came in at the point he did in the season where there was still so long left that it could go really badly wrong, but he didn't get a pre-season, he didn't get all that early stuff, the momentum of the first few games?
What's the question here? Why has it been so bad?
Why do you think? Yeah, what do you think has led to just being this complete disaster that we've seen so far?
Again, without being a broken record, 20 years of glaze and neglect.
Yeah.
That actually, I know Jim Ratcliffe's not exactly at the top of everyone's Christmas card list at the moment, but by the sounds of it, if he didn't step in when he did, this dumpster fire could be really bad.
Yeah.
I think the 20 years of glaze and neglect, the recruitment especially, has been what's killed us. Because you sit here and you talk about 75 million on Jadon Sancho, or just Manchester United spent over $1 billion on transfers in the last decade. Yeah. Cool, let's go through them. Di Maria, he don't play for United. Lukaku, 75 million pounds, he don't play for United. Jadon Sancho, 75 million, he doesn't play for United. Anthony, 80 million, he doesn't play for Manchester United. And then the ones who do, Harry Maguire, 80 million. Well, we overspent there, probably by twice as much. By anyone's least guess, 30 million. Yeah. 60 million Mason Mount.
Yeah.
Bargain, actually.
Even Casemiro.
7 million, yeah.
He doesn't start for United when he plays,
no.
And we signed him 2 years ago for 60 million quid, and he's not in the team at all.
Rasmus Højlund, 70 million pounds. Is that a 70 million pound striker?
Not yet.
I don't know if it's 7 million pound striker. He's awful, Joe. So when you talk about look at the money that you've spent, cool. Now go around the league and look at some of the prices that other teams have paid for players, and just realise, one, how bad Manchester United have been at transfers. Even look at some of the transfers. City, when he was bringing in Diaz and people like that, they were coming in for 40, 45 million pounds. I'm like, we just spent it on Fred.
Yeah, there was a time
who doesn't play for Manchester United anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Mahrez was their record signing for about 3 or 4 years, and I think that was 60 million. But everyone that won them those first few league titles were less than that.
Laporte, 40 million.
Yeah, and
we haven't had a centre half that good.
There was Fernandinho's and David Silva's, and even I think De Bruyne was 50, which was a lot for them. But like you said, that's Fred or Wan-Bissaka money. To us, that's a kind of never quite good enough defensive mid or right back, who again neither of them are here anymore. So yeah, we have massively overspent just on a tactical point of view, and obviously it's not the same whatsoever. But as someone who tries to implement tactics and ideas on a completely different level at Paddock, do you think that we should be able to play more like he wants to, like with the centre backs pushing into midfield and winning the ball back or overlapping, but whatever it is, it doesn't feel like we're seeing a coherent way of building out from the back, of creating chances. Would you have expected to see just more understanding of what they need to do by now, or do you think this is do you understand why we're so bad at it?
I think I would have expected us to be better with the ball.
Yeah. I
think off the ball stuff can take a little bit longer. Like that straight line of 8 at weekend, baffling to me. Absolutely baffling to me.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with my old man about this a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about teams in our league play quite a similar style of football. It's very direct. People don't look to try and hold possession in midfield. Yeah. They go quite direct with it. Now, we've had a very successful season. I expect that we can go up this year. We've not lost a league game since September, which I think is quite good. We average 75 to 80% possession. We hold the ball. We don't do anything that. I literally had this conversation with one of the players this morning. We don't do anything special. We don't do anything. I know there's a lot of people here who watch us as well. We don't do anything crazy. There's no secret tactic What we do is very, very, very simple. We try and win the ball back high. We try and have a high line so we squeeze. We've got very pacey centre half, so if you do smash one over the top, they've got a very strong chance of getting there before you. The defensive philosophy is basic stuff. B+1. Yeah. It's so everything we do is very simple. I'm a basic coach. I'm not an amazing coach. I'm still learning what I'm trying to do. And what I was saying to my dad a few weeks ago is, if you asked me, because we were talking about United, if you said to me, hey, can we play like that? I couldn't do it. Now, maybe you would expect a Premier League manager to have a plan B, C and D of philosophies in his locker. But Pep doesn't.
Yeah. And
obviously I'm not putting myself on a better level as Pep, because obviously he couldn't do what I do. But I think when you're coaching, what's good is good. Does that make sense? Like, when I'm standing on the sideline in training, if I see what I'm trying to implement, that's good. If they don't do that, it's not good.
Yeah.
There isn't 3 versions of good.
Yeah.
Like, the way we want to play football, like I said, it's very simplistic. Can we be composed building up through the back? Now, that applies to the Premier League as it does to my level. Can we dominate the ball and overload in the centre of the pitch? It's applicable both ways. Yeah. In the final third, can we play with a little bit of risk? Can you try and take on your man? Can we go one touch and can we take a chance? Everything that we're trying to do is extremely simplistic. That's where I think United are falling down with it a little bit. Is I don't see us trying to go one touch in the final third. No. I don't see us playing with risk in the final third. I don't see us overloading midfield. If anything, we are underloaded in midfield. I don't see us playing with that composure coming out of the back. I think, to throw Brian Clough's name back in here again, football is a really, really simple game that people overcomplicate.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to do anything particularly special. Sir Alex Ferguson never did anything that had a fancy name about it. But what did he do? He wanted you to be right on an opposition's touch, don't give them chance to breathe, be in their face. That's called pressing.
Yeah.
It was just called being on their touch 25 years ago. He wanted you to have a high line. It wasn't called a high line back then. I don't know what the fuck it was called. But you can remember Gary Pallister and Bruce and Rio and Vidic on the fucking halfway line.
Just got squeezing them, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Box them in.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
You would see United maintain possession by that horseshoe, going from the wingers to the fullbacks across the back line into the forward line. Yeah. That would be called recycling the ball now. That was just fucking called holding the ball. Football's really fucking simple, but to make a chance, you have to take a chance. You have to beat your man 1v1. That's why we love players like Ryan Giggs and Eric Cantona, because they could take a player out of the game. Cristiano Ronaldo or even Antonio Valencia. They stand up their man and go past him. When the fuck was the last time, outside of Ahmad, when was the last time anyone in this team ever fucking took somebody on?
So does it all come back to then the players just aren't good enough? Do you think that's the fundamental thing here? That regardless of what system they're playing, new school, old school, detailed, basic, they can't do those fundamentals because they're not good enough? Do you think he just needs better players?
Yes, yes. I think that forward line is a disaster. It's a bottom half of the table forward line, evidenced by the fact that it scores about as many as a team in the bottom half.
Yeah.
And it's literally in the bottom half. The problem that we have got is that Amorim recognises Manchester United needs to be a front foot offensive team. And I don't know if he is capable of being a Jose Mourinho where he goes, let them have the ball and we'll just hang back here. Because we've actually taken the ball under Amorim. We have. Can he coach a team? Because I couldn't, and obviously I'm a fucking amateur coach. Maybe he can or maybe he should. But Jose Mourinho couldn't necessarily play a different style. Could Fergie let you have the ball and sit back? In big games he did.
Yeah.
But that wasn't his go-to. And I think anyone can change for a single game, but asking you to string it together for 10, 15, 20 games, can you do that? Could David Moyes do what Pep does?
No.
Could Pep do what David Moyes
Probably
does?
not, though, genuinely. Yeah.
What we've got is a Ferrari engineer and a fucking Robin Reliant for him to work on. Yeah. And he goes, I've only worked on cars with 4 wheels. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, I think that's a nice place to end it. Personally, it's going to be a bit of an average. Just one word answer: will Ruben Amorim still be the United manager at the end of 2025?
I can't give you a one word answer on this. I have to elaborate on this. Yes, because I think that Ineos have got to go deep with this experiment.
Yeah, they look awful if this doesn't work out as well.
Yeah.
They have to back. Hopefully, the pressure that they would put on themselves, even if it's just a self-preservation, embarrassment thing, means that they give him time and resources, because otherwise what are we doing here? Right, cheers Steve, thank you for joining us at home as well. Get your thoughts in the comments below. Why can't the players play the way Amorim wants him to? Why can't we score more? Let us know what's going on.
And where would Pep come in the Cheshire League?
That's a great point. See you in a bit.